Charlie, over the next two shows, we're going to talk about the rut and really understand it. And we're going to concentrate in today's show on the first part of the rut, the pre-rut and the seeking phase.
One of the things we need to discuss real fast here, Neil, is the fact that we're going to cover a lot of stuff in the next couple of episodes. We're going to talk primarily about the late pre-rut, and we're going to talk about the seeking phase. Well, we need to know, when does that rut begin? Well, the research that Wayne LaReche and I have been involved in now for 11 years, that we discussed in depth last year, is the second full moon after the autumn equinox is the trigger point or the start of the whitetail rut. You need to understand also that the whitetail rut is not a 100-yard dash. It doesn't happen in 48 hours. It's more of a 40-day process. It's like a human marathon. And so this year, as you said, we'll talk about the late pre-rut, both from a behavior and a hunting standpoint, and also the seeking phase. And that's what we'll discuss today. So this year, 2006, that second full moon after the autumn equinox, what we call the rutting moon, will begin or will be on November 6th. About 3 days before that, the seeking will start to ramp up. Somewhere around the full moon, it will be full blown. And then after the full moon starts to go towards dark nights, then you get into the other aspects of the rut. So that's what we're going to discuss today.
Charlie, why don't you tell me a little bit about the timing of the period, and then a little bit more again on the behaviors that will be associated with those times.
Well, I think hunters across North America define the pre-rut as basically from the time velvet peels in early September until when the rut kicks in, and normally late October. But for today's purposes, when we look at what goes on at the tail end of the pre-rut and then in the seeking phase, we're pretty much talking this year, 2006, the pre-rut's going to start to wind down around 20 October. And as we start to get towards November, then that seeking phase goes until about, say, 9 November. So you're talking about a 20-day period where all the action is going to take place. Now, from a behavior standpoint, when that buck peels velvet, you've got about a month and a half to 2 months where he is putting on weight, he's doing some rubbing, but he's doing about 90% of the daylight hours he's bedded. He's not moving. It's a tough hunt. Everything goes around food because he's maximizing all of the mass that's out there, putting that body weight on. Yeah, he's kind of sorting out pecking order, but the pre-rut can be somewhat of a tough hunt if you don't have a good food source. And then as we start to inch into that late pre-rut, now we start to see buck activity start to increase. Why? Host of reasons, but number one, his testosterone level is starting to increase. Matter of fact, from September 1 to October 1, it's going to double. October 1 to November 1, it's going to double one more time. And so now his anxiety level is pretty high now. He's kind of like the person with ADD, attention deficit disorder. And so as he eases out of that pre-rut, he starts to cover more ground. He may be covering 2,000 acres if there's not a lot of does. And he's really starting to ramp it up, so to speak, as he kind of inches through this. He's still bedding a great deal. He's still eating a great deal. And as you get into the first week in November this year, you're going to see him doing a lot more walking, covering a lot more ground. He's going to be on his feet a lot more. And so there's a lot of things that come into play here, but certainly by the time November 1 rolls around in 2006 in the north, you're going to start to see a lot of deer hit by cars. Matter of fact, not just a few, quite a few. And so the anxiety level in those bucks is starting to increase. Their behavior is really starting to ratchet up. And as you creep from that late pre-rut into the seeking and start to go out of the seeking into the chasing, it can be an exciting time to be hunting out there.